it's first 7 minutes are informal minutes again because we have not reached to the hour, but let's do that. So very generic or very informal start that today we'll be discussing some of the interesting JavaScript. And why we are discussing that because in our session, like, session with Annie at 1 p.m. that you have, we will be having some practice of these topics that we are discussing today. So I thought it's better that we discuss some of the topics that would be. So all those joining in, welcome. And I'm waiting for your messages as well. So we'll look into some of the JavaScript. You can see that we started something called function. So again, please keep in mind, we have not started as yet. Formally, we'll start at 7:30, which is my time, and your 9 a.m. All right, I can see a lot of people have joined us. Scott, good morning. Good to see all of you. And all right, so let me set up some other things as well. This was our notes for last week, and the lecture and the notes and everything. And I would like to just. So this was our JavaScript that we started, and I've called this week 1 and 2. So today what I'll do is that again, though we are recording, but again, I'll just do that when we have reached to the time. But let's take an informal review by the time our time, 5 minutes we have. So we started talking about JavaScript in a bit, from the very basics, as some of you were having a little challenge time, difficult time in understanding that. So we saw that we can run our JavaScript program by using the node statement, node command over here as well. But the trickier part was that you need to be inside that folder if you want to run it. So I can run this script.js directly from here, or you were in habit of changing or running that with the HTML page. That really depends upon you, what way you adopt. But I would prefer some of the things because it's a very fast output over here. And as I said, only trickier part is that I'll have to reach the folder which actually contains my program. That is the tricky part over here. So let's see why my keyboard is not working. Okay, not responding. So as I said, so if you want to run this file, and if we are running this with the node.script.js, you remember, it means we are running this file as a desktop application in our machine. While when we run with the web, of course, we have this website and we just use that. So that's a different story altogether. Let's come back over here. And I don't know my keyboard, why my keyboard is not working. Yes, now it is working. So programming JavaScript. I should go in the folder. No, okay. Programming JavaScript. Yes, I'm inside that. We have CD lectures. Inside that we have CD week 1-2. So again, those who are joining in, we have informally started because we are 3 minutes before our time. So don't worry about that. I'm just repeating a few things. So the trickier part was to get into the folder. And when you get into the folder, you would be able to now run this program, which we had written down. We had some certain scripts in that one. And we saw operators. We just saw very basics of it. And today I told some of you before that we'll be talking about the functions, which I have shown here. And we'll just talk about these functions because today at 1 p.m. session, you are going to have a practice of that. So again, just let me show you. If I have this program, I have a console log. Hello. And I want like to run that. So I'll run this with node script.js. And it runs and it just gives hello because I have just commented out everything. So just again, an informal reminder that whenever you want to run a JavaScript file in this by using this node command, Remember that we are not running it in a web browser, so it's called basically the terminal application or our desktop application or our, we are running it over here. So we talked about some of the interesting aspects of the programming language JavaScript. We saw that we have console statement for printing out. We have var, const, and let. You were habitual of using the const keyword, and I told you that I will tell you what is the difference between var, let, and const. They have a typical difference between them. It's not like that you can use one over the other. Yes, on one way it's right, correct, but at some point of time you will see that it really actually resembles, or it actually basically deals with something to with the scope or the life of the variable that we'll talk about. Then we saw that block of the statement is always a curly brackets, and comments are multiple type. There can be single line comments, there can be multiple line comments. We saw that we can store a value. We saw that type of operator can be used to check whether what is the type of the operator. And then we talked about some of the operators. I talked about increment, decrement operators. Then we had a discussion on pre-increment, post-increment. I hope you enjoyed that discussion. So, okay, good morning, Rob. Good morning, Justin. Good morning, Muhammad. So then we have, we talked about this console logging of, I just show you a little trickier game so that we can understand the real concept of the pre-increment and post-increment. And that was quite an interesting thing. So we talked about that, and then we talked about that what is ternary operator. Ternary operator is something that today also I will use a lot of time, and you will see that you will see that in action today. So again, so yes, we are on time. So we are now formally starting. So this was a review of last class, and I told again one last time for everyone's sake. I'm just telling you. Today we are discussing JavaScript, because in the second session we are going to have in any session you are going to have the practice of this one. So what I'll do, I am actually, this is week 1 and 2, and what I'm doing is in lecture 4, I'm creating a new folder, and I'm calling it week 3, by the way, because this is week 3. So now I'll just work in that because it's relatively something new that we are going to do. But so that's why I've just, this week 3 folder. In week 3 folder, I'm creating a new file. And again, I can call it a script.js because it's a new folder. So script.js. And now here comes a point that I'll have to go one folder back, and I'll have to come into week 3. So now I'm in week 3 folder, and I would like to run this file. So we are actually discussing functions today, and functions are a very, very important part of JavaScript programming we talked about. So functions are of 2 types, basically, user-defined and built-in or global functions. So what we are talking about, we'll just see that user-defined functions. We are first of all looking at the user-defined functions. And this user-defined functions, we'll see that how we can define user-defined. So user-defined functions are also of 3 categories, 3 types, and they're very, very important. I want you to understand them. You would have used them, but maybe you don't know with the name. So we are first of all talking about the user-defined functions. So if I write a comment over here, user-defined functions, and there are multiple types of user-defined functions. The first type that we are discussing, they are called function declarations. You might have used them, but function declarations. What is function declarations? When we define a function with a keyword function, then we give the name of the function. For example, I'm creating a function add. Then we pass on any variables if we want to have. For example, this add will take A and B. And then we define the body of the function. So for example, let's say that this will do what? This will return A plus B. So now, what is function declaration type of user? So first of all, user-defined function. What are user-defined functions? I hope you guys understand that. Those functions that we define by ourselves, that are not defined in the programming language. When we say built-in or global functions, we are talking about those functions which are automatically being given to us, and we don't define them. I hope that makes sense to everyone. You know that if I ask you console.log, log is a function, console.log, log is a function of console object. but we have not defined that. We just use that. So are you guys getting that? It means that this is a predefined function. So now we are talking about user-defined function, that how we can define functions, user-defined. And in user-defined functions, there are three categories. So we are talking about those three categories over here. And the first category we are talking about is function declaration. Now see here. So function declaration says that we use a function keyword and the name of the function and the list of parameters, if any, and with that curly brackets, like the body of the function. Make sense, everyone? This is called function declaration. So a function might be, again, I'm just still talking about function declaration. A function might be a function that has some name, for example, some function. It does not accept anything. There might be a function, for example, I can say there is a function called keying, and it does not accept anything. What it does is just when you call it, it logs out key in college. So now a function might be of, so first of all, first function declaration. Function declaration is that when you start a function with the function keyword and then followed by the name of the function, followed by the parenthesis. If there are any parameters, you pass those parameters. If there are no parameters, you just don't pass it anything. And that function has a body of the function, and then it might or might not return anything. It might just console log out, whatever. It can be any type of function. There can be functions so which can set the values and return the values. I've just talked about that last week. So in the same way, I can have, so again, I'll just, talk about this one. So function declaration I'm just talking about. So I'll just comment that, so there can be different types of the function. So this is one function add. It is called function declaration. We declared a function. Now, what is function expressions? Let's see function expressions, the second type. Second type is function expressions. Now, what are function expressions? While we define function as expression, what does that mean? I say I define a variable var, add is equal to, right? And I write function keyword, then just directly parenthesis, and then body. So for example, I'm just writing the same add function second time. And I say return a plus b. Do you guys feel the difference between this function and this function? This is called declaration. You just write the function keyword and define the function. Here, I have saved this function into a variable. And that is JavaScript's speciality, that you can even store a function as a value of a variable. Does that make sense to everyone? I hope everyone is understanding that one, that this is called declaration when you define directly a function, blend function definition, function name of the function, parameter list, and a plus b, whatever. And then if you define a function by providing use one exactly, that's a very good question, Vanessa. I was expecting this question. When we will use one over the other, there will be a lots of situations where you would say that it's always good to first of all, Vanessa, before answering you, I'll just tell you how to call these functions. If I define a function declaration, how would I call that? I say add 5 whatever 4 whatever 3. But you remember, this will return a value, but nothing is catching that. So if I were run that, I won't get any output because it is returning a value. The value will be returned over here, the 7, but nothing is catching it. Oh, Christopher, yes, you are a bit late, and I'll tell you, Christopher. Actually, I have just switched today. For today, I have just switched to JavaScript, because today we are going to have practice on like in any session. So I thought we should discuss that. So I'll just shift that front end over there. But don't you worry about that one. Just again, I have today I have just swapped our front end with this one. Christopher, is that clear? It's JavaScript right now. So that's a good question, Christopher. So I just discussed that. I told that in the beginning. Got it, Christopher? Okay, I'm expecting that Christopher got it. Oh, okay, thank you. So yeah, So when he's asked a question, so but again, if I want to have an output, really output, I'll say console.log and call this function. It will return a value 7, and this would be printed out. Make sense, everyone? Now, how would I call this function? Exactly the same way as I called this one when you define a function expression. And there is no change over here. So I'll say console.log, and I would say again, in the same way, I'll say add 5 comma whatever 6, and I just call that. It will return the function. Now, when would we prefer? As I said, there will be a lot of situations where we will have to pass a function as a parameter to other function. So there, instead of writing the complete function, we will just use the name of the variable and pass that to the other function. Marisa, does that answer a little about your question? You will definitely practically see the situations, but right now I'm just telling you that sometimes you might have another function where you want to pass another function as a variable. For example, there is something that you want to call some function and you want to call this add as a function. Are you understanding what is? Sometimes we will be passing. So, JavaScript gives us this feature that if you define a function with the name of the variable, you can have a lot of interesting functionalities of that one, right? So I'll just, I'm not calling this function. I'm just, I was just telling you that how to call that function. This is called function expression. And yes, Vanessa, as you asked, there will be thousands of times I'll be using function expression rather than the direct function declaration. Now the third type is arrow functions. Let's come back with the arrow functions. I'll give you an example of arrow function. And by the way, these arrow functions are ES. If you have heard about ES5, ES6, the advanced version of JavaScript. So you can say it's an advanced version of JavaScript. This is a bit advanced thing of arrow function. What are arrow functions? Arrow functions, again, as someone asked the question, arrow functions will be preferred more over even function expressions. And what are arrow functions? Let's see. We write arrow functions, start arrow functions exactly the same way as we start function expression. We say equal to. Now, instead of function keyword, we directly write parenthesis and we can directly write the variables. No function keyword. We use equal to and greater than sign and then the body of the function. Are you guys getting that? I've written down 3 forms: declaration, expression, arrow. What is arrow function? No function keyword, just directly the parenthesis. Give some, like, if you have parameter, pass those parameters and use an arrow statement like, equal to and greater than sign and curly brackets, return A plus B. Now, here I would like to talk a little about this arrow function. These are advanced ES5, ES6 functions, and we use a lot. So again, let's go this way. I would always prefer function expression over functions, normal function declarations. And I would always prefer arrow functions even over function expressions. And why in the world? You will get the answer shortly. Arrow functions are the shortest form of the functions that we can write. I'll tell you why. Can let also be used to open a function expression arrow function or can only. Oh, that's a wonderful, Braden. What's your name? Braden. So Braden, please keep in mind, if I am using var, please keep in mind, I can use anything. I can use let, I can use const, whatever. It's not and again, unless I tell you what is the difference between let and var, don't worry about that. Yes, you can use that. The simple answer is that you can use var or let or const even. So see here, var add is equal to, now I'm telling you why arrow functions will be preferred. You might be thinking. So interestingly, if you have only one statement in an arrow function, I can take out this curly brackets. There is one statement only, return ABC. So I can take out curly brackets and I'll just put that over here. And if there is only one statement and that also is returning something, I can take out the return from here as well. Are you guys getting that one? There is are you getting, convinced that, okay, why I would be using that? Arrow function gives me this feature. that take out the return even, because you have one statement that is just returning. Why not just write the parenthesis list and arrow function and then a plus b? It is exactly equal to this function in functionality. It's exactly equal to this, but it is an arrow function. Do you guys see that how much simplified this has become by using this one? Do you guys understand that one? How simplified it has become? That now I can write a function in a single liner. It's even, I don't have to worry about that one. And again, please keep in mind, it is in essence, in functionality, it is exactly the same as function expression. Braden, did you get the point? I hope you got your answer as well. And here as well, did you get the point? That arrow functions are the most advanced, most compact form of the functions. And we try to write the arrow functions like this. And again, I would give you lots of examples today. Did you guys understand this one? So we are continuing our discussion on this one. I'll talk about some of the functions, general functions, and then I'll talk about, rather, let's discuss some of the important things. So functions can have any number of parameters and arguments. Let me just talk about that one. So a function can have no parameters. A function can have one parameter. A function can have multiple parameters. There can be the multiple types of functions. Interestingly, I'll give you a very interesting thing. What will happen? I'll just show you this function. I'll run this one and show you. So let's come back over here. I'm not calling any function, so they won't harm my output. Let's do some practice. So I will create, for example, I'll create a function log. So I'm calling it log for myself, right? Which accepts one parameter. And I'm making a function declaration, by the way, right? So just keep in mind, I can write anything. So I'm just starting some practice questions, some practice functions. So if I write in function console.log a. So this is a very simple function that does what? Why not? Let's comment out everything, because that would just give me a little pain. So function log a. So this function does what? It receives a variable and logs it on the output. Everyone agrees that? That's just, so again, if I call this function log hello, let's run this program because I want to show you something. Sorry, we are in the right folder, so I'll write node script.js. You see, it has printed out hello. Good, because it receives a variable and it prints that out. If I call this function without any parameter, interestingly, JavaScript says you are allowed, no problems. What will be the output, by the way? Did you guys understand? Undefined. It was expecting a variable that it had to print out, but we did not pass anything. So it says undefined. I'm getting an undefined. Second time I have passed a string. It says, okay, it's a string and I can print that one. Are you guys getting that one? How about this one? If I write log hello world. If I write hello world here, interestingly, still it will work. And do you see that? It has taken hello world as a string and it just prints that one. How about this one? If I just say I want to pass two strings, hello and world. Hello and world. Interestingly, still it will work, but now it will be a bit different. It just shows hello. Are you guys getting that one? It takes the first parameter as a and prints that out and neglects the second one because there is no way to access that. I'm past. So JavaScript is very friendly. JavaScript says you can call this function all these three ways. Though right now I have no way to access this world keyword. But do you guys understand what it is doing? It is taking the first parameter as a and it says, okay, if there is another parameter, like, you have passed something, you can pass. I don't know how to access that one. Can I get a quick thumbs up from everyone? Are you guys understanding that you can call this function anyway? So you see here, I've just mentioned that you can call this correct, also correct, and it logs undefined. It logs, for example, correct. It logs also the first word it just takes in. Now, there must be a way to understand something. So here is a very interesting example over here. So there is a default object in JavaScript. I'll comment this out. There is a default object in JavaScript. And what is that? I'll tell you, log a. Now, I'm not sure that how many values are coming. So I'll just, show. So there is a default object in JavaScript, which is called argument. Argument object. So if you see here, I have an object called argument, and I can use argument.length. Right. And the other thing, see here, what I'll do. Argument of 0. I'll say arguments of 0. It's actually arguments, not argument. Arguments and arguments.0. Now, let's call this function also in the same way as we called these ones. So I'll copy this and I'll paste them over here and I'll uncomment them. I'll uncomment them. Let's run this one and see what happens. So see here, arguments is a default object that by default goes and checks the arguments that has been passed to it. Yes, is a just random letter use? Can it be any letter? Is a. Oh, yeah. It can be any letter, Jennifer. Yes, you're right. Oh, someone is raising a hand. I think by mistake, or you have a question. Someone has raised the hand. I can see the name of that person raising the hand, or maybe it was by mistake. Exactly, Christopher. Christopher, for your understanding, I'll do that. For your understanding, I'll do that. I'll say X. Oh, okay, not a problem, Marlena. So X. Are you guys getting that one? It can be anything. Jennifer, it can be anything. It can be, like your first name, Jen, because it's just a variable to store values. Okay, not a problem. Genial. Just keep in mind that we are doing JavaScript today, not front end for some reason. Just forget about the reason right now. Okay, so do you guys understand? It can be anything. It can be X. It can be anything at all. Okay, right. Now see here, when I'm running this one, look at that, what is happening. Exactly, Valentine, you're right. So see here, when I call this one, it says there is a 0 parameter big argument. There are 0 arguments have been passed. The length is 0. And the first argument 0 means the first argument is, always it creates an array of the values of the argument that are coming over here. Now, first time when I call it, I don't pass anything. So X is undefined. It says arguments.length is 0. And the arguments of 0, the first argument is nothing, undefined. How about this one? It says there is an argument length of 1. And the first argument of 0 is basically what? Hello. You guys getting that one? Now, for the second time, it says the argument is 1 and 2. There are 2 arguments. And the first argument is hello. Can anyone tell me how I can print this world as well in this program same? Do you know if I come here, and I write comma and I write arguments of 1. Are you guys getting that one? This creates an array. This creates an array of arguments. And now see what will be the output. Let's see who can guess what will be the output. See here. The output is for the first time undefined. There are no 2 values, which is nothing has been passed. So it says that there is 0 parameters and undefined. Is everyone getting that? This is very interesting. Second time it says argument is 1. So first argument is hello, but I don't receive any second argument. So second argument is undefined. Are you guys getting that one? Arguments of 1. Here I'll ask a question, quick question. Did you guys study this arrays in general in your last course, or you know about these arrays? That an array has 0th value, the first value, the second value is at one location. A yes or a no on the chat window. Do you know this array like notation? Wonderful. Tina says yes. Wonderful. So you guys understand what happens is that it actually creates an arguments array over here, and you can access that arguments array. So do you guys see that it is actually showing undefined because no parameter? Here it shows that hello and undefined because first parameter is there. And here it says hello and world because now there are 2 parameters over here. Are you guys getting that one? I hope you guys are understanding this and you are understanding what is going on over here, because I'm about to tell you something very. So this actually, this arguments is a like default object that we use to basically, to access the arguments of a program. So that's a quite an interesting thing. Make sense, everyone? So this is quite an interesting thing, and we can just access that arguments like this one. Now, if I write another program, let's write another program, and you will really enjoy this program. Practice this is. So again, I'm writing a function, sum function, and I don't know how many parameters will come, but I want to save. So again, someone was asking about var let, so you can use anything. I can use let count is equal to arguments dot length. I calculate how many arguments are received in this sum function. I don't know how many are there, right? And I say let total is equal to 0. I'll have to do a running total, right? Total is equal to 0. For let I is equal to 0, I less than count. Count is my variable. How many arguments are there? I plus plus. I want to run from 0 to count. Count is what? How many arguments are there? So it means start from the 0, like first one, and go to every argument of the length, because the length will be calculated. And now just do what? Total plus equal to arguments of I. I hope you guys understand what does that mean. Total plus equal to, remember I told you addition assignment operator. Total is equal to total plus arguments. And when you are done, return total, because you have got the sum of the numbers. Make sense, everyone? Now, I'll just, this will make all sense, but let's do something. So if I say console.log, because it's just returning console.log, and I say sum of nothing. Now, and in the same way, I call this function with sum of 1, 2. And I call this function same with sum of 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, let's see that how it will run. First of all, let's run that one, and then I'll ask you to ask a question. If I run that, for the first time, it says 0. Now, how does it say 0? Because I have not passed any arguments, and count is initialized to 0. Argument dot length means there is no argument, 0 arguments, and count is initialized to 0. Muhammad, do you make sense? And if it is initialized to 0, the loop does not run. I is equal to 0, I less than 0. Condition is false for the first time. Loop does not run. And if loop does not run, total is still 0. So I get a 0 over here because total was initialized with a 0. Did you guys understand this first run of that one? Because there was no argument. So argument dot length, it turns out it came out 0 for the first time over here. And if it was 0, so there was like 0 was put in here as a count, and loop is never ran. So total remained the 0. Now, what about this one, second one? Sum 1, 2. So there are 2 arguments now. So see here, count is equal to arguments dot length. Can you tell me what will be the value of count now? Count of value will be, anyone? What will be the value of count now? Arguments dot length. How many arguments? Valentine, thank you. 2. Okay. So 2 will be put in over here. Do you guys understand? 2 will be here. So I is equal to 0 to less than 2 means it will run for 0 and then 1. Are you guys understanding? It will run 2 times, for 0 and for 1, and then for 2 it will not run, right? So for 0, when it will run, total plus equal to arguments of 0. Now, Austin, can you tell me what is at arguments of 0 for the first run? At arguments of 0, what is the value for this call? The value for the first run is 1. Wonderful. And so it adds that to the total. So total gets 1. Then the loop again runs. Loop runs for the I is less than 2 is here. So I less than for I runs for 1. And it says that now add that argument of 1. What is the argument of 1? Angelica, you know, it is 2. So 2 is added to the 1. Why I'm confused as why it does not run both. Austin, okay, that's wonderful. Austin, I would like to just, show you something very interesting. If you don't understand that, it means a for loop is a little bit trickier for you. See here, Austin, I'm talking to you, but again, hopefully those who have not understood. So you see here, count, when I call this function, You see the count has turned out as 2. Austin, do you agree that? When it has come out 2, I'll just, for the time being, for your understanding, I'll plug it 2 over here instead of count, just to show you. So if I plug 2 over here, Austin says, see that loop starts with I is equal to 0. Condition checked, 0 less than 2. Austin, condition is true or false? Is it true? Yes, true. Go to the body. In total, add arguments of I. And what is the value of I right now? Do you know value of I is 0? And what is the value of arguments of I? Arguments of 0. What is the value of arguments of 0? Austin, can you tell me right now? Equal to 1. The value is 1. So total becomes 1 over here because I have added, total was 0 and total has become 1 because argument of I means argument of 0 and argument of 0 here is 1. Austin, did you get it? So total becomes 1 for the first one. Then it goes over here. I is incremented. I becomes 1. I is less than 2. Still condition is true, Austin. What will happen? It will go inside the body. Total was 1. Total plus equal to argument of I. And what is the value of I here? I is now 1. And what is the value at arguments of 1? The value is 2. So it adds that to the total. 2 is added and total becomes 3. I hope everyone understood that. Austin was just asking question, but did everyone understand how it is running? It's not 2 over here. Of course, it is count because it will always update. If there are multiple arguments, it will go to those. It will count. It will see that how many. Now for the next run, see here, I've passed 4 values, 4 arguments. So what will be the value of the count? Count will be 4. And do you guys understand? Hopefully, do you guys understand that this count will be replaced with 4 actually? I'm just writing that for just one. So it will replace with the 4. And 4 means 0, 1, 2, 3. It will run for 3 values. Valentine, does that make sense? And if it runs for 0, the first value will be added. Then for the second value, then third value, then fourth value. Can I have a feedback from everyone? I have few people who are replying, but I would like to have a quick thumbs up from everyone. Are you guys understanding? There were 4 parameters. So arguments will count those 4 parameters and it will just, run that one. Wonderful, wonderful. That's wonderful. John says wonderful. That's good because, I'm about to tell you something really interesting because there is an operator that you might have never used. Yes, exactly, Valentine. Arguments of 0 is 1. Argument of 1 is 2. Argument of 2 is 3. Argument of 3 is 4. So yes, you are right, Valentine. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Okay. That's wonderful. Now, I'm about to tell you another very, very interesting way of using this same thing, even without knowing how many parameters are there, but accessing every parameter over there. Now, let me copy and paste this for you, and I'll comment this out because I want to keep things very simple. Now come over here. Now I'm changing this function. I'm changing this function, rather, I'll just, first of all, remove everything so that it's simplified. There is an operator in JavaScript that is called rest parameter, star dot, dot, dot. I don't know if you guys have used that. We use some name with this one. So for example, I say dot, dot, dot numbers. What is this rest parameter? This is very interesting. Rest parameter is something like this. I'll just write this almost the same code. Total is equal to 0. For let I equal to 0, I less than, now numbers dot length. The numbers is dot, dot, dot. I want to calculate the length of that and I plus plus. Now total plus equal to numbers of I and return total. Now, please bear in mind, this is a very, very interesting thing. I will be using this also a lot. When we write dot, dot, dot numbers, this dot, dot, dot operator is called rest operators, rest of your rest operator. Now, this parameter allows us to find out all the arguments that have been passed to it by using some of the name that we used after it. What does that mean? In the same way, do you remember that here it was just, we were using arguments, which is the default object. But now I'm saying, no, I'm not using arguments. I want to give some name by myself. So I'll say, OK, dot, 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 numbers. So whatever value will come, they will go in the numbers. And this dot, dot, dot rest parameter will do what? It will allow me to access those values out of it. Now, when I say access those values, so you see that for the first time when sum is called, there is no number like zero, no value has been passed. So again, okay, sorry, that I right? It was bad. So now what will happen is that you have not passed any parameter. So dot, dot, dot numbers receive nothing. And when I say numbers dot length, again, it is zero because there is no number has been passed. For the second time, I've passed two values. So this numbers value become 1, 2, and dot, dot, dot will extract out, will take out all the numbers. And what I'll say is total is equal to 0. Let I is equal to 0, I is equal to numbers dot length. And how many numbers are there? 2. So it will say number dot length is 2. 2 will be plugged in over here. And again, in the same way, total plus is equal to numbers, total plus is equal to numbers, and it will keep on coming up over here. Exactly, Valentine. What happens is you're right. You have given a very nice word. Actually, I don't want to use the argument default object. Rather, I want to give my own name. So if you want to give your own name, you will use a dot, dot, dot operator, and it will extract out all the values over here. So again, this dot, dot, dot will refer to a list that is coming. And Valentine, you give this as the name of the list. So I have given the list a name by myself. Valentine, that's wonderful. So Valentine, you can understand, I can write here dot, dot, dot something. So if I call it something, of course, I would say here also something. And again, you can write anything, by the way. Someone will be wondering if I'm using the same words. Something. You see, it will exactly be the same. Valentine, did you get that? This is a very good question because you asked numbers is replaced. Any name all can be used to replace the default argument object granted to you. Exactly. That's wonderful. So I can write here, sorry, dot, dot, dot numbers. So numbers is become the name of the parameters. And if it becomes the name of the parameters, I can access its length by using numbers dot length. I can use this numbers over here. So I don't want to use arguments. I would say I want to use my own. And by the way, remember this dot, dot, dot operator. I will be using this at a very interesting location, and you would really appreciate at that point of time. OK, this is how it should be used. And it's more practical use where I will be just using that one. But just remember this dot, dot, dot and the list. I can access this complete list by using this dot, dot, dot. I can extract out every value out of that one. So this becomes an array, numbers becomes an array. And as Valentine said before, previously in our previous version, the argument was the array. OK, so last thing before we go into some more practical examples is a very interesting one. If we have dealing with optional or missing arguments. So for example, if I say I have a function, let's write a function update salary. Update salary is a function. It will have to some parameters, value and bonus. So we have a function. So I would say if bonus is being defined, if bonus is given a value, rather I'll just write that by using the ternary operator, and I will ask how many of you understand what I'm saying. Return check bonus. If bonus is there, question mark, current salary plus value into bonus. Are you guys getting that one? If bonus is not there, current salary plus value. Let's see how many of you remember ternary operator from last week. Update salary. There will be three parameters: current salary the value that has to be updated, and a bonus. If bonus is there, you can calculate the salary this way: current salary plus value into bonus. Whatever value we are increasing, multiply that bonus and then add to the current salary. And if bonus is not given over there, so just current salary into value plus value. Are you guys getting that one? And if I call this function, let's see how many of you understand that one. So if I call this function console.log update salary, and I pass, so I say 1000, and I say, for example, 300, and I pass a bonus of 2, for example. Do you guys understand? When we have these three values, it will calculate the result like this. Are you guys comfortable with this ternary operator? Remember, bonus, check bonus. If bonus is given, calculate like this. If bonus is not given, calculate like this. What does that mean? If I just take away this bonus from here, let's call this both ways. I write over here 2. Do you guys understand that now how the salary would be calculated? Yes, you're right. So if you run here, so for the first time it says just 1000 plus 300, 1300. And for the second time it says 1000 plus 300 multiplied by 2. So do you guys see that if bonus is not there, don't worry, just go and calculate this one. So are you understanding? This is just given as a truthy or falsy value, that if bonus is being defined, use this formula. If bonus is not defined, use this formula. How many of you guys are understanding this one? It's conditional ternary operator. Can I have a thumbs up from everyone? Are you guys understanding? What is this? It's basically checking bonus. Bonus is there. If bonus is there, good. If bonus is not there, do this. If bonus is there, calculate salary like this. I hope I'm able to make a little bit more understanding of the different things, right? And you can have, multiple values, and this will just, exactly, Austin, it is just if a statement. And yes, Austin, if you have given that, I will definitely write that for you. Patrick, so the question mark identifies a yes or exactly. So ternary operator we discussed, Patrick, last class in our JavaScript class. The ternary operator checks the condition. If condition is true, this part will execute. If condition is false, this part will execute. I gave an example last week as well. If you guys, and again, I'll give you more ample examples. And yes, you are right. Austin, it is just if and else. And why not, Austin, for you, if I just do something, if I mark this line as a comment, Austin, for you, I'm just writing if bonus is there, calculate current salary plus value into. And again, this is a good question, and I would like to all of you to remind that yes, this is just mere if else written in a different way. Current salary plus value. How many of you guys understand? It's exactly the same of this line. Yes, Patrick, it's a cleaner version. Okay, Austin, just remember, before question mark is the condition like this bonus, and after question mark, before colon, this is full colon, is the area that we want to run as when it is true, and this we want to run if it is false. Mark, many, do you understand now? Many, it's very simple, and you just have to a little practice this one. Okay, that's wonderful, Manny. And that's wonderful. So I'll leave both of the codes so that you guys can have a look at that. Okay, this was the replacement of that for Manny, right? And I'll be happy that you guys have both of the codes in front of you so that you know that, okay, these are the replacements of each other. And they will exactly work the same. If you write it this way, if you write it that way, again, if you write it that way, by using if and else, of course, hopefully it will just remain, the output will remain the same. Oh, it says undefined because I've not returned that one. I've not returned, so return, maybe I'll just add the return over here. Return. And here also, so again, I'm not returning anything. So you see that someone said that this is the cleaner version. Patrick, so you see that it's how much cleaner version it is, that we have one liner, and otherwise I had to write all these kind of things. And you see now the output will be same, 1300, 1600. So do you see return is only used once, bonus comes here, and then current salary plus value. So please practice this, and I'll give you much more practice for that one. Don't worry, but just keep in mind that that is also one of the way of you can just use that. Okay, now let's come back over here. Some real fun stuff. I have a string. For example, I have a song. A variable song is equal to a little quick brown fox. Jump. I don't remember. I'm just writing something out of it. Jumps over the lazy dog. I don't remember. Please forgive me if I'm using some other words, but wrong word. Anyway, I want to just make a string over here. This is a string with the name of song, for example. Right? I would like to play with this string. I would like to write a function. I would like to write a function that will add a period at the end of this function. Make sense, everyone? I would like to write a function that will add a period towards the end of this dog, like, of this statement. So let's write a function. Function add period. I'm calling it add period. It will accept a string, any string, str. Again, I hope you guys now know it can be any name, by the way, right? A, B, C, str, whatever, right? So what this will do, it will say return. Now, here comes a very important concept that I did not revise, but I would like Patrick and Manny from you guys a little feedback from you guys, that you guys know that string concatenation, how string concatenation happens. So for example, if I have var first equal to Alan, and again, this is something that I want to just discuss before I discuss the real core concept. If var is equal to first Alan, do you know if I want to say, for example, I say var name is equal to, and I say first plus Smith. Do you guys know that this is called concatenation? I'm hoping that if I say full name or name, the first name, combine first name with wonderful. And I would like to just ask some more questions, because this is very, very important. This is very, very important. We can do like that. So strings can be they can be concatenated like this. So I can concatenate. So that's wonderful. And I'll come to this one another thing afterwards. But you guys know that. So I'm coming back to my thing. So I would say return whatever string you have received, str you have received, add a period towards the end. Exactly. That's wonderful. Now, Valentine, why I'm discussing that, there's a very interesting reason behind it. Now, let's call this function. And if I say console.log add period, if I pass, first of all, let's pass a normal message. I pass hello and check whether it returns with a string, with a dot. So if I write node script.js, Tina, do you see that I'm successful? Hello has a period towards the end now because I have added a plus period over here. Everyone agrees that? Because I'm about to tell you something very interesting. If I call this same function by passing my string over here, and when I'll be passing my string, I'll be not using curly brackets. I'll say song. Take the song and return me with a period. So you can call the function first, then the variable after correct. Yeah, so you can do either way. So do you see that, Patrick? Do you see that the little quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog also has a dot in the end? Make sense, everyone? Now, I'm about to give you something to think about, something to ponder. If that string that I am passing has already a period towards the end, for example, here as well, or maybe here as well, they already had a dot. Sorry, I don't know. They already had a period. Now let's run that. It will be a no sense type of thing over here now. It is having two dots, which is bad. Are you guys getting? Can someone of you write the code? Please don't write the code in the chat window. Write it yourself. Write the code, and if the string already has a dot at the end, it should not add the period, or if there is not a dot, it should add the period. Are you guys getting that one? What I'm trying to say? Rather, let's don't write it. I'll first of all give you this one. Are you guys getting that? Because you see here, Patrick, do you understand what I'm saying? That if there is a period already, why in the world you are putting another period? Check the string, and if there is a period already, don't add the period. Are you guys getting that one? Now, here I would like to tell you some of the very interesting string functions. Maybe you would have used some of the others. So there are lots of string functions. I can write a string function. I can say str dot ends with. Ends with is a default function, built-in function. There are lots of string functions over there, and I would show you lots of them. Rather, before I do that, I'll just want to show you something very interesting. I hope, because I told you JavaScript can run at browser as well. So let me show you something in the browser's REPL. You will enjoy that console. If I have a name, for example, name equal to Keen. I have a variable name. There are lots of JavaScript default functions that I can use with this name. What does that mean? One of the property is length. If I write name.length, it will give 5. There are other functions. If I write name dot to uppercase, what will happen? The key will appear in uppercase. I can say name dot ends with, names dot ends with. Names dot ends with a. Does it ends with a? It says false. Name dot ends with n. It says true. A quick question, Tina, here. Did you guys discuss these functions? Ends with, starts with. I can say name dot starts with, for example, does it starts with? Starts with K, capital K. Yes, exactly. If I say capital K, it says no, because it's not capital K, it's a small k. So does it start with K? Are you guys getting that one? So Valentine, there are lots of string related functions that you can use here. Now, if you guys have not used that, don't worry. I can have name dot contains or maybe a name dot char at character at location 2. What is the character at location? What is the location 2? So you see that location 2. A string start with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So at 2 location, I have y. Do you guys know that a string in JavaScript is actually an array of characters? So if I say name of 0 is K, name of 1 is E. Are you guys getting that one? I hope you guys know this one. It's actually, it's giving me the characters K, E, N. Do you guys know what I'm saying? I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say here, because you guys would have gone through a little bit about these things. Now, if you understand that, let's come back over here. If str ends with this, curly brackets, return str, just return str. Otherwise, I'm not writing else because I know it will always fall down over here. Otherwise, it will string from here. Else, return str plus dot. Do you guys remember what I'm saying? Now, let's save that. Let's run that. Do you guys see that we have only one period? Tina, is that also making sense to you? I've seen your statement. What is this? It's check the statement. If it ends with a dot, I don't want to add a dot. Just return string as it is. If it does not have a dot, again, it means that this condition is not true. So just return with a dot. Or again, you can write it else as well. It's up to you. You can write an else as well. But here we might not use an else because that always automatically fall down to this one. Now, a very important thing. I can write this complete statement by using a ternary operator. Neat and clean. You guys are liking the ternary operator. If I come here, see here what I'll do. So again, those who are having a difficulty understanding ternary operator, I'm specifically talking to this. Many, just have a look at that. Str dot ends with dot. Question mark. You guys understanding? Check if the string ends with dot. And rather, I'll start with this one. Return. Return what? Check str dot ends with dot. If it ends with dot, return str colon str plus dot. I would feel that my last one and like around 45 minutes have become successful if you guys understand that one. Many, do you understand this one? This is quite interesting. Return. Check if str ends with dot, just return str. If it does not ends with dot, return str plus dot. Can I have a thumbs up from everyone? Are you guys understand? Exactly the same code, but much neater, much cleaner, much without fuss. And it's basically something that you would really want to do. And this is not the end of the world. I'll tell you some more shapes of it. Don't worry. I'll tell you more shapes of it. I can do a lot of things already. Okay, so I'll just I'll park this for a second because I'm writing this function one more time in a different way. So I'll come here and I'll write same function at period. It will take str. Now there can be multiple ways of accessing that one. I can, there can be multiple ways of using the same problem, solving the same problem. I have to solve the same problem. Check if the string already contains a period at the end. Don't add the period. If it does not contain, add the period. I have done that by using this method and you have seen that and it is very proper, but I want to use another one. So I say, for example, can I calculate the last character's position from this str? So I can say var last character equal to str dot length minus 1. How many of you understand this line? Do you understand what I've said? Last character, whatever string has come, you do what? Calculate its length and subtract exactly is str minus 1. That's also right. But do you see that, Angelica? This is also another way. Str dot length minus 1. I am actually calculating the last letter. And when I get the last letter, I would just use that cell. Return str dot char at character at last character equals dot. If it is equal to dot, question mark, return string colon, return string plus dot, because there is no dot. You know what I mean? Let's see how many of you understand this one. Exactly the same thing, but in a very different way. Calculated the last position or last character's position. Last position, it's by the way more than last characters. Position, string length minus 1. And then I'm checking if the character at last position is 1. Rather, allow me to call it not last character, last position. Why not? You know what I mean? Because this will make much more sense to you guys. Allow me to call it last position rather than last character. So see here, var last position. Exactly. That's wonderful. Why the minus 1? That's a very, very good question. Would anyone like to answer Jennifer's question? I'll be happy if someone of you answer why minus 1 in the length from minus 1. Why we have done that? And someone else is also asking this question, giving a thumbs up. Can someone reply? Exactly, because it's base 0. So in a S letter, so that's wonderful. So see here, Jennifer, your answer, and hopefully you will understand that. If I write var x is equal to hello. So Jennifer, see here, the first H is at, yes, I'll go to my this one. So let's see that. Now see here, var x is equal to hello. See here, Jennifer, the first letter is always at 0 location. Look, H is over here. The second letter is at 1 location. E is here, up to so on. Now, I'll tell you another very interesting thing. So Jennifer, see here, if I say x dot length. So if I say x dot length, so see Jennifer, it says undefined because x dot length means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is going and checking at 5 position. Remember, our last character is always not at the 5 position. It's -1 because it starts with 0. Now look at that. Do you see the O is appearing over here? Length -1. Jennifer, it starts with 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You understand that one? And hopefully those who were asking another giving a thumbs up, they also understand this one. Brandon, do you understand that one? Did you get it? Last character is always length -1. Just remember this formula. Length of the string -1 is the last character, the position of last character. So if I say x dot character at, now see here, I say x dot length, sorry, x dot length -1. So if I say what is the last character, like character at x dot length -1, you see it gives me this. If I say what is the character at x dot length, there is no character undefined. Why? Because x dot length means 5 and last letter is always at 4 position. I hope that made real sense to Jennifer and everyone who was asking. And that's a good way to. So do you guys understand? Now, I'm just giving you a little thought about it. And again, today's question will be much more like this practice. And please listen to this very carefully. Today with Dr. Annie, like you will have some practice questions. I will give some hints on that. That one is if you put -2. Mohammed say if you, oh, that's wonderful. If you put -2, Mohammed, what will happen? That's a good question. If I put rather than -1, I put -2 and I say -2. If I just do that, you see, Muhammad, we get L because L is the -2th length. Like length is 5, 5 minus 2 is 3. So it's actually calculating something and it's actually equal to writing this is equal to, you are writing this. Muhammad, do you understand what I'm saying? Actually, that is -2 means length -2. Okay, that's wonderful. So now a word of advice. So today in practice questions that you will be doing with Annie, never worry about that. I've given certain hints as well. Use internet. You can, because, I'm just wondering that you guys have not done, these functions very much in depth. Don't worry about that. Try to do those practice questions. Whatever you can do, I'll be happy to see that. But if you are unable to do that, don't worry about that one because, that's for the practice purpose. And I will be continuing this discussion of the functions and I'll be giving you some more interesting related functions in our coming classes. Make sense, everyone? Having said that, I hope you guys enjoyed today's lecture. I hope I was able to make your understanding a little bit to the next level. I hope that the topics that we have discussed today, you got a good grasp of that. Remember functions 3, I'm just reviewing quickly. We have user-defined functions are of 3 types. And, there are like, function declarations, function expressions, arrow functions. And then we have talked about that you can have multiple parameters, you can have one parameter, you can have anyone, and then we have talked about a sum function, we talked about an arguments object, then we talked about arguments, forget about arguments, name yourself and use a dot 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 operator that will become your name and you can extract that values out. Then we talked about if there is a parameter missing, don't worry, we have just used return bonus equal to, and then we talked about some of the function parameters and we have just got this nodes. And I'm really hoping that you guys, I'll just, because I'll be making a commit to my page. So September 18 is the commit for today, and you will get my all updated notes and everything over there. So these are the notes. I'm happy that I can see a lot of comments, and hopefully you guys, yes, it should be attainable, Patrick. It should not be a session messed up or missed. I hope that everyone who has joined the room has learned something new. Thank you very much for joining in, and I would hope to see all of you at 1 p.m. with Annie and try to have those practice questions, try to come up with the solutions. Thank you very much.